Good day and welcome to Flight Dreams. See, we'll be flying the Air Canada A320 NX. We're also using the FlyByWire modification. Early morning flight today from Toronto to Montreal. See, the ground crew is getting ready to load baggage and our catering. So let's step in the plane and let's get her all fired up so we can get it going. The power's already on. The ground crew has done that so that the plane will be nice and warm for us instead of a cold plane. So we'll start the checklist. The battery is obviously on. Ground power is available. Strobe on to auto. And the ADIRs 1, 3, and 2. That is our navigation system. Check our electronic flight bag. And how much fuel do we have to put in? Let's have a look over here. From SimBrief, 12,719, so let's convert that. 5769 is what we have to put in. So actually go in here and be more accurate. 5769 kilograms. About 7 minutes to get that going. So let's start the refueling process. You can see here the blue is the fuel in the wings. So that's great. Let's set the panel brightness. And these are just what I like. Some people don't like them this bright. I do. It's all personal preference of the pilot and the co-pilot. Today we will be flying using the in-game ATC and the live weather that comes with the game, which is real world weather, by the way. Okay, that is set. I'm going to put the no smoking sign on and the emergency lighting. We're not going to put the seatbelts on yet because we are refueling. The annunciator. Just make sure that that turns on and checks all of the lights for us. That's great. Let's turn that off. And we can now turn our attention to the flight plan. Let's go to the dashboard. I'm going to load our flight plan from SimBrief. Already looked at all of that. There we are. And we can come over the McDo. And we're getting all of this information from company. Flight number is 227, Toronto to Montreal, 52 minutes. That's from wheels up to touchdown. And we're going to load. We have here 165 passengers. Here we start to, actually, before we start to put that in, let's get the ATIS.
Toronto Airport Information, India 1200 Zulu. Wind tree 1 at 7. Visibility 10. Sky condition, few clouds at 500 feet, few clouds at 4,100 feet, few clouds at 11,800 feet. Temperature -1. Dew point 10. Altimeter 30.13. ILS runway 24 right, ILS runway 24 left, and ILS runway 23 in use. Landing and departing runway 24 right, runway 24 left, and runway 23. VFR aircraft say direction of flight.
Interesting, you don't have a clearance available on there. Well, Depends on how you do things with Flight Sim, what order you do it, whether you actually get some of this stuff or not. Different than flying on that sim. So let's look up the flight plan. Actually, let's go to Init A. We have to do that first. Request. There we go. Toronto to Montreal. Alternate is Ottawa 227. Cost index 15, flight level 370. Cost index 15, flight level 370. That came through fine. Flight plan. Miglo. That's great. Departure. So we're going off to the west in our departure. We're going to be 24 right. Toronto happens to be my home airport, so I know the procedures. And dead key 4 is the departure, the SID. So 24 right, dead key 4, Miglo is the transition. Insert that. Montreal. Let's just look up the weather here. It's 0. Interesting. Got through at 0. I think we're going to be arriving on 24 left. Arrivals. 24 left. Coming in on Habs. There we go. Insert. You can clear this message. Doesn't matter. Miglo. That's great. Flight plan. So let's check this out. Let's see how we actually look on the flight plan. This will just allow me to step through the flight plan and see what it looks like. Should get a good view of downtown Toronto today. Interesting it brings us in that way. However, it's what it's doing. So, turn the flight director on. Constraints. I'd like to put this up to the full flight director. Now we can continue. Init B. The 0 fuel weight and the center of gravity. Fuel planning. And we're going to be, when that's all done, 12.7. See how we're doing for the fuel. Dispatch, fuel. We're getting there. 12.7. There we go. Now what I have to do, and I don't think I can get it off of here because I don't have it bookmarked. I don't believe. No. So let's go here. 320 takeoff performance. I'll have to bookmark that over there. Toronto. And get this in Imperial. Natar. We're going to be flaps 1. Pats on. Anti-ice off. Dry. 135.9. 135.8. Is our takeoff weight. 800. Mac is 29.9. And I'm going to for right. Calculate. Here we go. Interesting. Okay, now we can go to our performance, which is what we're going to use all of that. Transition altitude in North America is 18,000. 1 degree, 1 notch of flaps, 0.3 down. Negative, 0.3 down. 61 is the flex. I believe it was 146 for all of them. Or V1, VR, and V2. Great. Done. Go back to the flight plan. Excellent. So I'm going to come back here, get our weather, which hopefully request it now. This information is in. Show up here when the company message is received. Here we are. Message received. Metar. Let's print it out. And that's exactly what we have now. And when we take it off there, it automatically puts it up there for our reference later on. How are we doing on our fuel? Long way to go yet. So we're basically done. It's a few more steps before we're ready to depart. So push back. Let's go back to our flight plan. That's where I like to be. United sitting to our right. And it's going to take more than 5 minutes to put this fuel in. I wonder if I can change that to be fast. Let's go with instant, just for a change here. Get that moving. So we'll go back to the dashboard. So we're in Toronto, heading up to Montreal. And let's get rid of this. Navigraph. This actually shows us exactly where we are. I'm assuming we're going to be taxiing out here and taking off this runway, but we will find out. So, let's close. The jetway is there. Let's close that jetway. It's not removing. There we go. Jetway is now removing. Let's call the tug into position, so it's ready to go. Push us back when we're ready to go. Okay, predictive wind shear on. Cabin door. Cockpit door locked. Barometric pressure set. One thing we have to do, knowing the standard departure here, is fly 237 to 1,000 feet, then 235. Then we get into the actual route. So I want to set 237. On the compass, that's what we will fly. 1,000 feet, we'll go to 235. There we go. That's all set. IRS is aligned. Flight directors both on. That's great. Let's start the APU. Once that's kicked up, we can get off external power. While waiting for that, crew oxygen off. Seatbelt sign on. And let's get the fuel pumps ready to go. Air conditioning is set fine. Nav lights on. Once we get the APU fired up, which means we're running on internal power or auxiliary power unit, we'll be able to push back. looks like that plane is taxiing out to 23. Okay. There we go. Clearance. So let's.
Ground Air Canada 227 ready to copy IFR clearance to Dorval.
Air Canada 227 is cleared to Dorval Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 23 climb and maintain 9,000 feet. Departure frequency is 127.575 squawk 0104.
Air Canada 227 cleared to Dorval Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 23 climb and maintain 9,000 feet. Departure on 127.575 squawk 0104.
Air Canada 227 read back correct. Contact ground on 122.275.
We're actually on that right now, so we don't need to switch. I love how they pronounce Air Canada as Air Canada. Okay, APU is available. It is there. APU on. External power off. We are ready to go. Now it gave us a clearance of runway 23. We're going to change that to 24 right because we're closer to 24 right. So let's get our pushback going. Push back. Start up. And then get our taxi clearance. Get our taxi clearance. Parking brake off. There we go. Engines. Select our mode to start. Starting engine 2. Interior. N2 is rising. That's great. That's what we need. Let's go ahead and have a look. The sounds are phenomenal. This game really sounds like you're on the plane. This N1 has to hit 19.5 or so, then we'll start engine 2. Keep an eye out here. And stop, release the tug. Let's put our parking brake on. I rarely get that taxi to line up very well. And there we are at 19.5. Let's start engine 1. And there's the tug leaving. We should have here request to taxi.
Ground Air Canada 227 with Juliet ready to taxi IFR.
Air Canada 227 taxi to in halt short of runway 23 via taxiway Alpha Kilo Alpha Hotel Quebec. Contact tower on 118.3, 51 ready.
And our N2 is rising, which is great. N1 is rising. We're going to select another runway. We're going 24 right. I'm going to request that.
Ground Air Canada 227 requests runway 24 right.
Air Canada 227 taxi to in halt short of runway 24 right using taxiway Delta Romeo Delta Delta Victor Charlie Delta 7. Contact tower on 118.3, 51 ready.
Taxi to and hold short runway 24 right via taxiway Delta Romeo Delta Delta Victor Charlie Delta 7 Air Canada 227.
And see we're available here. So start goes to normal. Turn the APU off. Lead and the APU is off. Transponder reset it so that everybody can see where we are. Oh, 0. 0, I mean automatic. Spoilers armed. Flaps 1. Anti-ice not required today. The auto brake is required should we have to abort. Nose light is on to taxi. We don't need the runway turn off light today. It's very bright. Parking brake is off. Weather radar is on. Let's check our flight instrument, or our controls rather. Rudder full left, rudder full right. Elevator down, elevator up. Ailerons left, ailerons right. Everything's fine there. Free and clear, we are set to go. Okay, so just a little bit of throttle here to get it moving. Here we go, pull back on the throttle. We don't want to taxi too quickly. I use this blue line, which is part of the game. And I get in the habit of doing that because when you are flying with ATC on the game, if you don't get to the exact spot where they want you to take off from, hold short of the runway, you'll never get your takeoff clearance. Let's just check right. Nobody coming to the left. You won't get your hold clearance. Sorry, your takeoff clearance. That's the one. The other is for many airports, not Toronto though, the taxiways don't match up with real life taxiway nomenclature. So the game might have a taxiway noted as Alpha, but in real life it could be Echo. So it's a little difficult to follow. When you look here, back to the airport, see we're following along here. Now Toronto is real life, we could follow it. But that's why I do that. Plane Air Canada coming in from Halifax. If I was flying on VATSIM, which is the Virtual Air Traffic Simulation Network, I wouldn't be using the ribbon. Try not to go too fast. 10 knots in the turns if we can. Right. Just to show you here, there's the CN Tower downtown Toronto and some of the banking towers right here. Okay, those should be on our left as we hang our U-turn and head towards Montreal, towards the east. Yeah, you try to do only 10 knots turning. And that's passenger comfort. When you're going straight like this is, and you're away from the terminal, you can get up to higher 30, even 40. I try not to. You see right here, we're at 19. GS means ground speed. So what I have to do is push the takeoff configuration button here, and everything is fine. Right, they're all green except for the blue cabin, and that can't do anything about it. It's just a glitch in the game at the moment. Just means I haven't got confirmation that cabin is checked and ready to go, but we assume it is. So we'll look off to the right here for C, make sure nobody's coming. No one's coming. Windsock here. And it gets very busy, so I like to use my co-pilot once I get to this stage to do all the talking with air traffic control. Allows me to fly the plane, and that's what happens in real life. The pilot flying does not talk to air traffic control. The pilot not flying does. And we'll just hold short here.
Toronto Tower Air Canada 227 at runway 24 right, ready for takeoff IFR to Dorval. Air Canada 227 cleared for takeoff runway 24 right. Cleared for takeoff runway 24 right, Air Canada 227.
So we put our landing lights on, taxi light to takeoff, nobody coming in, nobody coming the wrong way. We'll head out, we'll line up.
Air Canada 604 taxi into position and hold.
That 604 was one that we saw that was heading out to runway 23.
Position and hold Air Canada 604.
So we'll make sure we're heading down the center. It's pretty good. And I want to put the
Creaster 991 contact Toronto departure on 127.575.
smoothly go forward up to flight level. Hold. And there we go. Airspeed's alive. Interesting at V1.
127.575 for Creaster 991.
VR, which is actually where we rotate and start to take off, is the same. It often happens. It's interesting. We'll have to watch that plane that just took off. V1, rotate. Positive rate of climb, gear up. Strange where that plane's
Air
going.
Canada 604 cleared for takeoff runway 23. Air Canada 227 contact Toronto departure on 127.575. Cleared for takeoff runway 23 Air Canada 604.
Now that's interesting, that switched back on me and I did not notice.
Going to 127.575 Air Canada 227. Toronto departure Air Canada 227 is at 2,300 feet, climbing 9,000 feet.
Air Canada 227 Toronto departure continue to Sabre as planned. Altimeter 30.13.
There we go, we've put our gear up. Bit of a correction there, I'm sure the passengers were just freaking out over that little maneuver. This is Mississauga here. 3,700 feet, we can now make our turn. It's usually 3,000 feet above ground level is where you make your turn. So we're going to head out directly to here. Solver 155 is where we want to go. 54, 350. Beautiful day in Toronto. It's the moon.
Toronto departure Air Canada 604 is at 1,300 feet, climbing 10,000 feet.
Air Canada 604 Toronto departure continue as planned. Altimeter 30.13.
Gonna go direct to Solver. Now that we're facing it. There we go, and I'll take it off. Have the computer is now flying the flight plan rather than me putting in the headings.
Air Canada 227 contact Toronto Center on 124.925.
Going to 124.925 Air Canada 227. Toronto Center Air Canada 227 is climbing through 8,300 feet for 9,000 feet. Air Canada 227 Toronto Center continue to Sabre as planned. Altimeter 30.13.
Now I have to.
Air Canada 227 contact Toronto departure on 127.575.
I have to request the increase in
Going to
altitude up to our cruise level
127.575 Air Canada 227.
of 37,000 feet, but we have to let this ATC work
Toronto
first.
departure Air Canada 227 8,900 feet.
Air Canada 227 Toronto departure continue to second as planned. Altimeter 30.13.
Increase by 10,000 feet.
Toronto departure Air Canada 227. Request flight level 190.
Air Canada 227 climb and maintain flight level 190.
Climb and maintain flight level 190 Air Canada 227.
See why I have the
Toronto departure Air Canada 227.
AI, my co-pilot, do the
Request flight
air
level
traffic control.
290.
Beautiful day.
Air Canada 227 climb and maintain flight level 190. Expect flight level 290.
Climb and maintain flight level 190. Expect flight level 290 Air Canada 227.
Air Canada 227 contact Toronto Center on 124.925.
This plane here, that's the plane that's showing up right here. It's
Going to
1,300 feet
124.925
below
Air
us.
Canada 227. Toronto Center Air Canada
Downtown
227
Toronto,
is at
Skydome.
10,500
Sorry,
feet,
Rogers
climbing
Center,
flight level
Billy Bishop
190.
Airport.
Air Canada 227
CN
Toronto
Tower.
Center, continue to bid key as
The-
planned. Altimeter tree 0.14.
The towers actually look terrible from this height. You have to get down and get them in the cache, and they look fantastic. And we should have
Toronto Center, Air Canada 227. Request flight level tree 70.
put the
Air Canada
seatbelts off.
227 traffic is 1
Start our
o'clock 4 miles
in-flight
at
service.
9,700
We should have a good look at coming into
Report them in
Montreal.
sight.
Probably Olympic Stadium we'll see very nicely
Air Canada
downtown.
227 climb and maintain flight level 190. Expect flight level 370. Climb and maintain flight level 190. Expect flight level 370 Air Canada 227. Air Canada 227 traffic in sight.
So once you get up, a lot of this flying is just monitoring all your systems.
Toronto Center Priester 991 is at 10,300 feet, descending 10,000 feet. Priester 991 Toronto Center, continue as planned. Altimeter tree 0.14.
Priester, never heard of that. And by the way, all the planes you're seeing today during this flight are live planes, really happening in real life. That's one of the new features of Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, and I think it's fantastic. So as we climb up a little bit, I like to increase my map. Past 18,000, look at the standard altimeter, which is 2992. Standard. In the auxiliary, we have to do ourselves. Just push a button. Change it to 2992. There we go. Now, what I'm going to do, because it's a very short flight, is I'm going to pull up weather, see if it's changed. We have the 11 o'clock here. And then I will enter that into our approach page. So what I would normally be doing is watching for altitude changes.
Air Canada 227 climb and maintain flight level 270. Climb and maintain flight level 270 Air Canada 227.
Be watching for altitude changes. Longer flights, make sure the fuel.
Air Canada 227 contact Toronto Center on 134.25.
make sure the fuel would be what it's supposed to be, etc. It's a very short flight.
134.25 for Air Canada 227.
See our company message received. There's the
Toronto
one
Centre
review.
Air Canada 227 is
You
climbing through flight level 1905 for flight
print
level
that.
270.
Last one
Air
was
Canada
1100,
227 Toronto Centre, continue to dead key as planned.
and we are heading out to Dead Key Super. So 1200, which is 8 o'clock in the morning. It's the last time this is issued. It's overcast in Montreal. Winds are from the west, so that's great. We're still going to come in into 4 left. Overcast at 7,300 feet, 3 degrees. There's the altimeter reading. I'm going to print this out. Automatic gets put there. And I go back to our flight management computer. Performance. Phase here, QNH. Just right here, which is our altimeter. See it here. That's interesting. There it is, right in front of my face. 3014. Temp is 3. You just saw enter the destination data. That's the computer telling me to do it now. We're getting close. 200 at 2 knots, the wind. I'm surprised we're actually going up to 37,000 feet today. That's a high altitude for such a short flight. We may not even make it that high. And 200 on the barometer. That's to let us know in case there was well, that's interesting. I wonder why it's showing up from there. There's lots of quirks in this that I don't quite understand, to be honest with you. Still,
Toronto Centre Air Canada 604 is out of 10,200 feet for 10,000 feet.
Air Canada 604 Toronto Centre, continue as planned. Altimeter 30.13. Air Canada 227 climb and maintain flight level 370.
Climb and maintain flight level 370 Air Canada 227.
interested in we are off. Like I said, I don't quite understand this sometimes. I'm used to flying. Anyways, Sani should be our next. So let's put this in. And there you go. Used to the PMDG 737, 747. Those models aren't out yet in the new game. They will be coming out, but for now we're flying this Airbus. It's a little different. See the winds here, 327 at, I believe that's 80 from our left. So we can actually have a look also over here at the airport. And this is where we are. So off to our left is Newcastle, Ontario, which you really can't see because we're just side of the plane blocks it out. But that is where we are. Nice little feature on Navigraph. I can change it to high altitude route, low altitude. I often fly with the world map, whether I'm flying VFR, IFR rules. Let's check some of the
Descend
systems.
and maintain 10,000 feet Air Canada 604.
Some of the systems. Temperature's 21, cockpit forward and aft. Very comfortable. See the outside temperatures, minus 33 degrees. Time is 12:45. That's universal time. This time of year, that makes it 8:45. Of course, 8:45 in the Eastern Time Zone in North America. It's -4, and it's early April. It's very unusual to get this clear weather. It's been very high pressure around Toronto for a while, so the sky has been virtually cloudless. But we are going to get into some clouds, as the weather has indicated. Now, one thing I'll do, I do like when I get out of the cockpit just to put that on so I can see if there is some wording that I've missed, instruction. So this is Montreal here, into that pink line. I'm going to put up the VOR here as the distance. Now that'll be the distance here up to, that's actually, Mirabel is here. This is the island of Montreal. This is where we're heading here to Dorval. It's actually Trudeau. But it'll give me an idea how far away we are. Often, you can see for Toronto, it will be right on the line here. There's actually a line pointing down where you can get it. There it is there. There's another way to do this too, but so 116.3, let's go on. We didn't get any callouts, so nothing to do. Navigraph, rad nav, so the radial navigation, 116.3. Let's put it in here to VOR1. Come up here, I'm going to turn VOR1 on, set here. It's not picking up that VOR yet. It will hit the number of nautical miles. It will show up when it does. Interesting. The runway did not show up in here. 24 left. Bit of a snag. So let's go in here. I have, that's runway 28. We'll get rid of that. Montreal will pull up. Approach runway 24 left. There we are. Enter that. We want to enter 110.5 as our 110.5. Landing surface. There we are. That will automatically pick up the localizer and the glide slope for us and have us come in on an automated approach. A few clouds building here. No icing today. We would get indications here whether there was icing, and then we'd have to flip a couple or press a couple
Air
buttons
227, contact Toronto Center on 124.675.
to make sure that
Air
it didn't
Canada
ice up.
604, you are 300 feet above your assigned altitude. Descend and maintain 10,000 feet altimeter, 30.14.
Going to 124.675 Air Canada 227. Toronto Center Air Canada 227 is at flight level 355, climbing flight level 370.
Air Canada 227, Toronto Center, continue to stand in as planned.
See here our approach speed when we input the information for our approach, gave us our approach speed, so we'll be slowing down on approach to 132. We've got 218 nautical miles left to go. To 17. And while you don't see me, I am scanning the cockpit all the time, the instruments, just to make sure everything is going well, especially the navigation. So here we're almost at Senin. We're going to make a bit of a left turn to Miglo. All computer automated. I'm not doing it. It goes from the flight plan that actually our dispatcher created. I verified and then put into the computer here at the beginning. You can see here, just zoom in here. This is where we are now. Belleville area, Trenton, Belleville. And there we are here. This does change the, just make sure that we don't go too far. This does update the weather, so 1200, which is 8 o'clock time here. 200 degrees at 2 knots of the wind, and that's what we had. 15 statute miles. Visibility, overcast at 7,300 feet. Temperatures 3, -5 dew point. The altimeter 3014. So I didn't have to print this out, but it's a backup. There's always great to have backups. And when you're putting this information here, it's easier to look there, have both in eyesight, then to go there, and now over here, etc. So everybody does it different. All pilots do it the way they feel most comfortable. There's no right or wrong way. There will be company standards and procedures that you have to follow. Just so you see this cup, if I want to take a drink, I'm not a coffee drinker, but I've got my tea. There we go. And my tea is back. You can see here, we're going to get cloud cover coming. We'll have clouds probably all the way in. This is some moisture in the clouds, not necessarily rain, but moisture in the clouds. If it does rain, we do have windshield wipers that you probably are aware of, but we don't put those on until approach and then when we're on the ground taxi. So, as I said, there isn't a lot to do except monitor systems. Some people, they're doing live streams of their flying, which means that people can actually ask questions and there's a bit of a conversation back and forth, which makes it a little more interesting than me just talking at you, telling you what's going on, giving you my thoughts. I'll get there. I just haven't gone that route yet to do the live stream. If that's something that you'd like, sooner than later, go ahead and leave a comment. As always, please subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss a video that goes up, and please like the videos if indeed you did like them, because that does help to grow the channel. So a thumbs up, it's greatly appreciated. Flying fairly slow today. Only Mach 0.72. We usually fly a lot faster, about 8, 7, 8, 8. but this is what the computer has given us. And that is what we do. And the cost index I mentioned earlier that I put in, that really determines how fast you do fly. And the company dispatchers will determine the cost index based on the weather, based on the schedule, how fast you have to get there or how slow, the weight of the plane, which is the payload, the people, the luggage, the fuel, etc. There's a calculation they go through, and that's the number I put in. If I flew at, let's say 30 today, at cost index 30, we'd get there a little faster, but we would use more fuel. So Air Canada dispatchers have determined today that we should be cost index 15, and I don't argue it. That's what we put in. Very interesting, clear delineation in weather systems here. And this is real world weather. So if we were to come down here in a car along the 401, right here, see it, we would actually see the clouds starting to form underneath or above us, over us. 10,620 pounds of fuel, we're doing fine. 171 nautical miles to go. I do fly in real time. I do not speed up the simulator. You can. I don't. So if I was flying to Calgary, it would be a 4-hour flight over to the UK, depending where I'm flying from, 6, 7, 8 hours. Now, it probably wouldn't be going in this 320. I'd be using the 787. Comes with the game. Maybe the 47. I am waiting for PMTG to bring out their products. But you use the appropriate plane. This plane that we have will go from Toronto right down to Barbados. I've flown that route a number of times with more than sufficient fuel on board. You might be wondering what this tablet is all about. It's called EFB. It's our electronic flight bag. And when you're at the airport, you will have seen pilots carrying or wheeling a big suitcase. Briefcase, really. Not a suitcase, a briefcase. And that would carry all the paper charts, everything they would need for the flight plan, all the charts that are required for the route and for the airport they're going to, and potential airports they might have to fly to for diversions. Today, that's all covered in here. So those big briefcases are gone. You won't see the pilots using those. Now the difference with the flight sim at the moment is, in this particular plane, the charts are not modeled in here. This is a moving map, not the charts. So I have to go over here and use Navigraph as the moving charts. And once that gets into the modeled in the game, this will be showing up in this screen. Now I did get out. Let me just double check. Nothing. And I didn't think so.
Generic Yankee Kilo Hotel, contact Montreal Center on 134.975.
We would have had our co-pilot responding. Pretty soon we'll get our descent.
Going to 134.975 Generic Yankee Kilo Hotel.
You can see here
Air Canada 227, descend and maintain flight level 290.
There you go. There's our descent.
Descend and maintain flight level 290 Air Canada 227.
The plane will, I've set the descent.
Air Canada 227, contact Montreal Center on 134.975.
I've set the level to 290. The plane will automatically come down to that level.
Going to 134.975 Air Canada 227.
You can see here, we are descending.
Montreal Center Air Canada 227 is out of flight level 370 for flight level 290. Air Canada 227 Montreal Center, continue to Rideau as planned.
So you can see here, we have now picked up the Montreal, the Yankee uniform, and the VOR. It's 113 miles to it. You can see here, this is an active radar. Line going back and forth. The active radar not only picks up weather, it will pick up planes. If I push this terrain, it will pick up terrain. So terrain that will be in our way. Great when you're flying around mountains. So often, one pilot will have the weather, one pilot will have the terrain. Just depends on what the pilot flying prefers to have on their screen. One thing I do want to check is we may not get cleared on 24 left. And I want to see what altitude we have to come down to. 3,000 feet. We will actually show up on here. We're heading to Rideau. See here, we're almost there. That's here. This is not to scale. Once we get out of here, our plane will show up in here. And I've mentioned it before in some of the other videos. If it's raining, that's what we'll get. If it's snowing, that's what we'll get. The intensity also will be mimicked because it is pulling real life. If there's thunder and lightning, we will get that. It's pretty amazing. Everything we do here is what the pilots do in real life. We will soon get a call out. See, we're going to descend at 29,000 feet. We're at 33.2. ATC will come on and have us descend further than that. Pull that down the range of the map. Put mine on 40 nautical miles. Copilot is on 80, gives me a little bit more perspective. So you can see here to Igvad, we have to fly 84 degrees. It's only 16 nautical miles in front of us. We'll be there at 13:05. And you can see the time here is 13:03. So 2 minutes to get to Igvad. Lots of little tricks you can use to see how long it's going to get you to a certain place. Waypoint in the sky. So there's that distinct line there. This would be partly cloudy. See a few patches there of blue sky if you're on the ground, and then we're going to get into purely overcast. Cotton ball sky from above the clouds this morning. The flight management computer is handling not only the altitude change, but the speed change that will be required. Sometimes a pilot does have to intervene, and if that's the case, I will. Especially on approach. You saw that earlier when I looked at the performance 132 is what we'll be coming in at. I will be setting that manually. We do have speed restrictions below 10,000 feet. We cannot go above 250 knots. We will not be breaking that today. As you can see here, we're only doing just over 220 knots already. So we're actually below the speed limit, so we're fine. But if we're not, I would be engaging the speed brakes to help slow us below 250 so we don't break that speed limit. And when you're a passenger on a plane, you will see those speed brakes go up. You'll hear the wind change, might feel the plane slow a little bit, and the pilot's putting on those speed brakes just so that he does not break the speed limit. Like I said, it doesn't look like we're going to have to use that today. Should be getting our call out for lower. Simulator usually does it within
Air Canada 227 descend and maintain flight level 190.
within 200 feet.
Descend and maintain flight level 190 Air Canada 227.
In real life, you would get more of 200-foot warning, and that's the same on VATSIM. VATSIM, when you have air traffic controllers, where they're not AI, they're not computer generated in the game, they actually are real people sitting somewhere in the world controlling, in this case, Montreal Center. They give you more of a warning than 200 feet, which is fantastic. Whether I fly on VATSIM or not will just depend on, I guess, a couple things. A, how I'm feeling, whether I want to or not. No rhyme or reason to that, but sometimes there won't be anybody up on VATSIM controlling, and you have no controllers at all. So at least when you're on the game-generated ATC, you've got some control that you hear back and forth in banter. Doesn't beat the live person ATC, but that's why I do VATSIM sometimes and not other times. If you listen to all the banter on VATSIM between the various air traffic control levels, right from delivery clearance up to center, and then you listened to all of that in real life, you'll see that we actually mimic it. We being the flight sim community. On VATSIM, we mimic that procedure, those procedures. So you can fly on VATSIM with commercial jets like this, heavy jets. You can get the general aviation, such as the 172 you've seen some videos of. The Spitfire you've seen some of the videos of. Basically, if you can fly it, it can fly on VATSIM. But you have to pay attention to all the rules. There's no horsing around, etc. So if you were in a military jet and wanted to fly greater than 250 knots, or any jet, or turboprop below the 10,000, you have to get permission to do that. Anyway, as you can see here now, we're actually going to be coming down, turning left, and then hanging a bit of a button hook to get back in. Now, I think the ATC will give us 2-4 right, but I will come back manually. Well, first of all, my co-pilot will accept 2-4 right. I will intervene, override, get 2-4 left. So we'll get another call out at 19,000 feet to descend lower. After that, the next thing that happens is at 18,000 feet, we will set the altimeter to what it actually is of what we have in our weather. I'm going to put the seatbelt sign on now so that everybody gets back to their seats and prepares for landing. I probably should have put that on a long time ago. I think we've got a good group of passengers today would pay attention and get back into those seats quickly. And I just want to remind myself here, 3014 is what we will set the altimeter at, both altimeters, main and the standby proximity. And you set this, you do both, just in case this one goes out, you have this as a backup, a redundancy. So let's have a look at Navigraph. There we are there. St. Lawrence, coming up on Cornwall, which we're not going to see. And from Hams, we should be going this way and coming around. So I just saw here, this is a hold that is built in. This is a hold that is built in. And we can actually do those holds. Sometimes you get a call late for air traffic control, and you should be down to, you can see here it has, if you're landing on 24 left or right or 28 below 16,000. If you're not below 16,000 by that point, I will do a hold. It does happen. Sometimes it's me. But it is in the game, and we will do that. Because if you don't, you can be too high here. You have to be between 3,000 and 4,000 feet. If you're at, let's say, 8,000 feet, you'll find yourself diving for the runway. Not a pleasant situation for the passengers. And when we do get into the clouds, you're not going to see anything but gray, as it would be in real life.
227, contact Montreal Center on 132.85. 132.85 for Air Canada 227. Montreal Center Air Canada 227 is out of flight level 215 for flight level 190.
Air Canada 227 Montreal Center, continue to RV as planned.
You'll find these are places that these waypoints we're going to, they're 5 letters long. They're named in the region, and they're often named for something. Habs, which is where we're heading to next, and we're actually on the Habs star, the standard arrival. That's for the National Hockey League team, Montreal Canadiens. Their nickname is Habitants or Habs. So when you're looking at charts, often the names may not mean anything to me, to you, but they will mean something, such as we just passed Harvey. That probably meant something to somebody, maybe a derivation of Harvey. Sometimes they give out a salute to iconic movies like Star Wars. You'll find information or waypoints with those names. Now you can have waypoints, you can have, you won't have another waypoint this way, Habs, within the region. But there could be a waypoint Habs in southern states, South Africa, South America, Europe, Australia. So when you're putting in your flight plan, you have to be aware of that. If you need to select one, select the proper one. The flight management computer will come up with latitude and longitude, so you can figure out which one you should be putting in.
Air Canada 227 descend and maintain 11,000 feet.
Descend and maintain 11,000 feet, Air Canada 227.
See here, the computer's changed our speed to 210. little right turn at Habs, coming in here to Zulta. It looks like and we'll make a left turn 45 degrees and do that button hook. You can see it over here on the co-pilot screen. This is where the timing comes in. Zulta be there at 13:19, and you can see it's 13:15, 30 seconds. It's about 3.5, 4 minutes, give or take. Clouds are looking beautiful this morning. Let's just see if we have a new weather. Nope, it's still 1200. It's just in case that has not changed. Go back to the company and ask them for a new weather. If it's still 1200, we'll get the message up here. Tell us it's there. If it's still 1200, I'm not going to print it out. What I'm really looking for back here, received, there's the new 1200, so nothing new. I'd be looking for a different altimeter if the winds have changed significantly. Is there precipitation now? So I probably won't be looking at that again. Once we start getting closer, I do start pulling these maps in a little closer also. Now, one thing I do is when I'm below 18,000 feet, I turn on the lights, the landing lights. Most operations have you turning those on below 10,000 feet, but it does get kind of busy. It's just one person. Me doing all of this, just now I've set them, I can forget them till I actually turn off of the runway. Now, landing in daylight like this, it won't make much of a difference, but it is visibility, it is safety. At night, they do illuminate the runways, so you do have to have them on. Added safety. The runways are illuminated with lights to indicate the sides of the runway, the center line of the runway, taxiways, etc. However, it's just safety, safety, safety. Let's just have a look here. Here we are. See, the real one should have taken us here to there. It's taking us in here. And then we're going to come out. Don't know why it's doing that. This is a little bit strange. It is the Airbus rather. It's different than what I'm used to with Boeing. But it's not the end of the world. As you see on the map here, there's Montreal Airport. Any moment we'll make our left turn, our 45-degree turn. There we go.
American Auto 227, you are 16 miles southwest. Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect vectors ILS runway 24 right approach.
Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect vectors ILS runway 24 right approach. Air Canada 227.
And select another runway for landing. 24 left. And we will request that.
Montreal Center Air Canada 227 would prefer runway 24 left.
Air Canada 227, you are 13 miles southwest. Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect vectors ILS runway 24 right approach. Sidestep runway 24 left.
Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect vectors ILS runway 24 right approach. Sidestep runway 24 left. Air Canada 227.
And I'm going to override that approach to get our 24 left. And it's interesting. The computer is not picking this up. I don't know why. I said it's just some glitches in the game. We deal with it, but I'm also going to descend to 3,000 feet. So we're not diving. I may get a
Air Canada 227 would like ILS runway 24 left approach vectors to final.
Air Canada 227, you are 9 miles southwest. Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect vectors ILS runway 24 left approach.
Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect vectors ILS runway 24 left approach. Air Canada 227.
Now, I'm going to override if they do say I'm below the assigned altitude, just so I'm not diving. See, this dotted line is where we should be. Click on the LS, the landing service. That'll give us the glide slope and the localizer. See here. It's interesting. 6 right must be the same frequency that will change to 24 left as we go past the airport. So I'm going to hand fly. That's wrong. I'm going to use the computer here, autopilot. But I will put in all this button turn. When we get closer, I will select the approach button, and that will bring us in on the glide slope and the localizer. And then at some point I'll turn the autopilot off and I will land the plane. I'm going to descend a little bit faster than this. Feet per minute. We were right now at 800. We were at 1,000. I just want to make sure we get down. There we go. Anti-ice coming on. Warning. So engine 1 and 2. The sign goes off. If we don't do that, the engines will ice up and not be a good situation. Notice I'm aiming a little bit. Here we go. Severe ice.
Air Canada 227, you are 800 feet below your assigned altitude.
Wing.
Climb and maintain 11,000 feet altimeter, 30.14.
And we had to put the ignition.
Climb and maintain 11,000 feet. Air Canada 227.
So we're going to ignore that call out to 11,000. And you see the wind is 317 at 10. That's why I'm not heading directly on that line yet. Move over a little bit here. And let's keep our altitude, our speed there. I'm going to give it 1 notch of flaps. We need to get there. A little bit more. 2,700 feet per minute. Let's just start to see the ground. We are in the clouds, obviously. That will be the runway at Mirabel.
227, please expedite your climb to 11,000 feet.
It's just out of our view there, so we're not going to see it. So, let's see. Ground. There, cleared up nicely. I'm not as familiar with Montreal as I am Toronto, obviously, so can't point much out. But I do believe on this approach we will see Olympic Stadium, the Big O.
American Auto 227, please expedite your climb to 11,000 feet.
Now, if I was flying on VATSIM, I wouldn't have in that air traffic controller coming on all the time. They would have actually had me go down, descend to 3,000 feet. You can see here, this is now set to runway 24 left, which is what we want. Let's back one. Golf course, right in here. And all of this scenery is taken off of Bing Maps, so whatever this red
American Auto
building,
227, please expedite your climb to 11,000 feet.
red building is, it will be there in real life. This little town will be there in real life. So come back over here, get off of there. There we are. It's right in here. They don't have it listed, but there it is right there, what we were looking at, that town. So actually that's come back, put it on 24 left. We will come back in and be on there. Okay. Now we need a couple things. Auto brake and speed brake. They are set. Seatbelt signs.
American Auto 227, please expedite your climb to 11,000 feet.
It's too bad this didn't pick it up automatically. This being the approach, it would have just done a nice curve around here for us. So because of that, not as much sightseeing today. So you can see we're down to our 3,000 feet, which is great. This is telling us we have to go to the left to pick up the localizer. The glide slope will come in a bit closer. So yes, whatever these buildings are, they are there in real life.
American Auto 227, please expedite your climb to 11,000 feet.
I hear for about 4 miles to go, I like to be down to 170 knots, so I will do that. That's just because what I've heard pilots doing in Toronto. They like to have the pilots at 170 knots at that outer marker. So, see here, no ice detected anymore, so we can turn off anti-ice, and we can put the starter back to normal. No point in having systems on and running.
American Auto 227, please expedite your climb to 11,000 feet.
Have them on and running, and therefore reducing their useful life. Well, I hope those of you who know Montreal very well are picking out some landmarks. That is the St. Lawrence River in front of us, by the way. St. Lawrence Seaway. Lake Ontario, which is the lake where the Great Lake that Toronto sits on. The water flows past there to the east into the St. Lawrence Seaway and then into the Gulf of St. Lawrence and the Atlantic.
Air Canada 227, please expedite your climb to 11,000 feet.
So I'm gonna push the approach button.
Air Canada
There's the
227,
big
you
O
are
right
15
there.
miles northeast of Dorval. Descend
This is-
and maintain 3,000 feet. Contact Montreal Tower on 120.425.
Olympic Stadium, this is downtown Montreal.
Descend and maintain 3,000 feet.
This is the
Tower on 120.425 Air Canada 227.
This is the runway we're going to be going to.
Montreal Tower Air Canada 227 14 miles northeast. Inbound ILS runway 24 left approach.
Air Canada 227, Montreal Tower. Cleared ILS runway 24 left approach. Altimeter 30.13 with com.
3013, and I did not set this.
Cleared ILS runway
There
24
we go.
left approach. Air Canada 227.
That was me not paying attention. Doing too much talking instead of flying. So there's the big O right there. Not sure if that's Jerry Park or not, where the tennis is played. Downtown, again, they're showing up a little bit weird. You get closer, those buildings show up perfectly. It's just the cache. See, we're lined up for the runway. This diamond has us right on the localizer, that's left and right. This diamond has us right on the glide slope, that's up and down. And now we're descending to stay on that glide slope. And you did hear the call out to come down to 3,000 feet.
Montreal Tower, Cree 205, ready for IFR departure runway 24 left. Cree 205 cleared for takeoff runway 24 left.
2,500.
So there is a plane right about here. I can't see it, but they've got the okay to take off. You heard the
Cleared
call,
for takeoff runway 24 left, Cree 205.
you heard the call out, 2,500. That's the airplane. Computer telling me we were 2,500 feet above the ground. Helpful now, but certainly helpful when there is you're in cloud. The cloud goes right down the ground level. See, the buildings are a little bit better now that we're closer. Even closer would be better than that.
Air Canada 227 cleared to land runway 24 left. Wind 286 at 8.
So I'm going to come down to 132.
Clear to land runway 24 left
Landing
Air
speed.
Canada 227.
Gear down. Flaps all the way down. Landing checklists. Spoiler arm flaps down. Landing lights on. Seatbelt sign on. Clear. We're good to go. You see the speed is automatically coming down. Come down to here. To say at some point I will be taking it off autopilot and landing it myself. See, we do actually have movement on the highways and streets.
1,000.
Cars, etc. Trucks. Kind of cool. Of course, that is all controllable in the menus on how much of it you can have it 100% full of what the computer designers have done, or you can have none of it. Depends on
Montreal Tower generic
how
Kilo
powerful
November
your planes
Tango
are.
102 ready to go runway 24 left IFR
That
to
plane that
Waterloo.
got clearance out.
Generic Kilo November Tango 102 hold short runway 24 left. Traffic is Airbus A20 in on final.
So that we are the A20.
Cree
And
205 contact
500.
Montreal Center on 132.85.
plane should show up in here. That's probably it right there.
Hold short runway 24 left generic
400.
102.
We got the There it is there. They're holding short for
132.85 for creep 205.
Okay.
300.
Autopilot off. We will be landing it from here on in. I'm flying it.
200.
We land, we will have to
100 above.
cut the throttle. Reverse thrusters, speed brakes will automatically be deployed.
100. Minimum 50, 40, 30, 20,
Retard on the
10, 5,
reverse thrusters. Reverse thrusters off. Get this brake up.
Air Canada 227, turn next taxiway.
We'll go off this taxiway. Brake off. Get the flaps up. Lights off. Taxi light on.
Air Canada 227, contact ground on 121.9er.
We need the AP on, that way when we...
Generic Kilo November Tango 102 cleared for takeoff runway 24 left.
When we shut the engine down,
121.9er Air Canada 227.
we'll still have power to the plane. 1219er, I have to do that, then I have to request to the gates.
Montreal ground Air Canada 227 request taxi to the gate.
Air Canada 227, taxi to gate 57 using taxiway Foxtrot Delta.
Taxiing to gate 57 via taxiway Foxtrot Delta Air Canada.
There we are here. And we can actually pull up. There, you can see here Foxtrot. We're actually on Alpha, not Foxtrot, so I don't know why they didn't take more time, Flight Sim, to actually get these major airports with the right taxiway nomenclature. They've got taxiways where they should be, but not always the right nomenclature. And APU is available, so let's turn the bleed on. Lots of planes here today. Game's not perfect at the moment. There are planes here that, first of all, they're generic planes that would never be here. But it is a new version of the simulator. All these issues will be worked out probably by third-party providers. So it's just, for me, slightly annoying, but doesn't really take away from the experience in a simulator. But it will be far better once I don't see a Frontier A320 in Montreal or an A320 from Lufthansa in Montreal. I see a 340, 330, 87 from Lufthansa. When with the Speedbird up here, British Airways, Speedbird is their call sign. Rather cool. Now, I don't want to turn the taxi light off. I don't want to blind the controller, the ground crew. Should they actually have somebody there to guide me in, but even so. They do. They have a marshal there today. You can see him right here. And we know where to go. Now I can actually drop the nose so I can see better. Slowing down a little bit. It should tell me when to stop. It should be fine. It doesn't always work perfect. I'm going to stop here. Just learn this one. Turn her off. Parking brake set. Engines off. Jetway's automatically coming out. You saw that. Fuel pumps off. And N1 should be down. Perfect. Now turn the seat belts off and the lights. And this is when everybody starts to, I want to cram out of here. So we are there. Come out here. I can activate ground services. Get the baggage cart going. So
Montreal ground Air Canada 227, could you please send the baggage?
Air Canada 227 baggage is on the way.
and we'll get catering.
Montreal ground Air Canada 227, could you please send the catering truck?
Air Canada 227, the catering truck is on the road.
Now, unfortunately, both of these trucks do not stay very long. It would be nice if they stayed until I lose them, but they don't. And they only load the plane, they don't unload the plane. But such is life, it's still fairly cool animation. So, thank you for flying Air Canada today, Air Canada 227. Hope you enjoyed the flight on Flight Dreams. Again, if you liked the video, please do press that thumbs up button and help this channel grow. And until next time, I wish you 3 green and blue skies.